My name is Gus C. Foster, and this is part three of The Standard. You may know me as the host of the Man Talk Monday podcast, which you're currently listening or watching. And this is, again, part three of the series called The Standard. Now, of course, in prior episodes, I've discussed standard, guideline, the minimum, what holds up to accomplish, to push, to action, to effort, all of those things. We're looking as fathers, as men, and even for the women who are listening to this, or even anybody who's checking this out, whether you be 18 to 80, this is an opportunity for you to assess yourself and think about what your standard is. So in this particular episode, I want to talk about accomplishments. Now, when I say standard and accomplishments, I don't want this misconstrued. Please do not interpret this as me saying, don't celebrate your children, don't uplift them, don't applaud them. No, no, no. 2 years ago, I stood on a mantra, and to this day, I still do. I tell my kids constantly, celebrate every victory, even the smallest ones. The amount of people who I know who are on their weight loss journey, authentic weight loss journey, they're doing all the boring stuff that nobody likes, the weight cutting, the calorie deficits, eating avocado. And these are people who are eating like pit bulls. Let's call it what it is. You see the place. They're very boring. They're unenticing. Sometimes they spice it up, but it's a very similar menu. But they do this because they know this is how I maximize gains for muscle loss, of like reaching what they want to. And it may seem small when somebody on that weight loss journey loses 2-3 pounds and you see they're less jowly, but it's huge. It's an accomplishment because it's 2 pounds less. I say all that to say this is not me diminishing your wins. Take every single victory. What I am saying is, with respect to those victories, all of those wins, let's concentrate and really think about, when is it time to do the big celebration? Again, I'm not telling you don't encourage your kids, don't push them, don't applaud them, don't celebrate them. What I'm saying is, statistically, white people in this country are the number one consumers, but that's just like per amount of people. There are more white people than anybody else in America. And this isn't a race thing. This is a conversation on where accomplishments are celebrated. Black people, 1.6 to 1.8 trillion. There are constantly conversations about how we have this elite buying power. And when they say black, they check the box for everybody. So if you're Nigerian, Jamaican, Dominican, from Belize, if you're from outside of the traditional American diaspora, if you come from anywhere, West Indies, Caribbean, African, when they say black dollars, they mean all of us collectively. That 1.6 to 1.8 trillion, extreme buying power. We lead in luxury purchases, shoes, clothing, brands, specific vehicles, hair, beauty. What does all this have to do with Augusta? Well, this is what it is. Right now, the reason I present some of those figures and this idea, this concept is, we are in a season where by the time this releases, all of your kids should have promoted or graduated or progressed or moved up or whatever level of matriculation they have in the educational system. They've done that. By the time this drops, we should be in early to mid-June. That being said, you could probably Google, if it hasn't already trended, Black prom, or the amount of videos that show people graduating, and whether this is where it expands through races. As somebody who's born and raised in California, I grew up with a good mixed bag of folks. Specifically in LA, I listened to the Samoans, the Tongans, the brothers and sisters from the Marshall Islands, all of the Pacific Islanders when their kids graduated. No matter how much they said, hey, look, hold your applause. Oh, them brothers and sisters ain't holding no applause. They're going to do that respective call. They're going to do it. All of the Mexican and El Salvadorian and Panamanian throughout the Spanish-speaking Latin diaspora, they're going to let you hear it. Even now, there's, people make it seem like white folk don't do it. They do also. Go Braden. That's just a name because literally that was a name at my daughter's graduation. Somebody named Braden. And while they said keep it calm, the prior two young white children who went before, nothing but that parent, that dad, my man, full sleeve tat, Riverside County Sheriff, wasn't, I don't have time. I'm going to celebrate my kid. And it's awesome. It's great. Black people, of course, we know we do it. Hey, keep it. I'm yelling, I'm cheering. We've seen the creative, like even dances that you see at all the schools in New Orleans when they graduate. Everybody, New Orleans and Memphis, they jugging. It is what it is. You're gonna get it. Now, again, not saying don't do these things because I understand the differences of cultures. I also understand there's a time and a place for everything. My point with all of that, touching every single race, all the diasporas, all the groups, all the cultures. How much celebrating are we doing for something that your kids should do? Now, I know statistically we could kick all the numbers when fathers aren't in the home, where kids don't have the basic necessities that they need in life, if they don't feel safe, if they're not fed. I've told stories all the time about kids who I went to school with, who, when you look at the hierarchy of needs, those needs were not meant for them. They were coming to class to eat, to make sure that they had a meal that day. These are kids who later down the line found themselves into the prison, school to prison pipeline, which was common. They fell into a statistic, which sucked, but the numbers showed because they didn't have those basic necessities. Chances and opportunities for them ended up there increased. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about you celebrating. I'm not talking about you clapping. I'm not talking even about the money that you spend per se. What I'm saying is, when are you doing it? And what is the standard of what you deem as an accomplishment? Sure, again, you could quote any figure you want about people who don't graduate from high school, people who don't go get college degrees or doctors or masters, blah, 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 blah. We see the numbers. You could Google them. Let Chat GPT, Copilot, whoever you want to use, let that provide it to you. What I'm talking about, you as the human being, you as the parent, you as the father, you as the mother, you as the extended family, the village, if you will. What are you deeming as something where you're investing real dollars into? That's an accomplishment for a kid. I hate the fact that every year Black prom is a trending topic. I hate that people quote the statistics and saying how many Black women won't get married, how many children are born out of wedlock, how many Black men are in prison. I cannot stand that people present those figures. At the same time, I can't disagree with them, because the question goes back to this entire series. What is the standard in those children's homes? Now, of course, broad strokes with that brush with respect to families. But take them as individuals. Take it individually, family by family, case by case basis, not even before you get to the cumulative totality of all of these families, whether regardless of their race, upbringing, state. No. I use Black prom as the example because it's constantly trending. We see the lavish, extravagant cars, limos, dresses, some of it highly inappropriate, topic for another day. But in that, as an investment, that's money being spent. I've watched people whose children moved up from elementary into junior high, and there was a party. And I thought to myself, as I was at said party, why are we celebrating this? And it's not to say, again, this has nothing to do with you not celebrating your child. But with regards to a standard, when your child is supposed to get out of elementary school, when your child is supposed to go from the fifth to the sixth to the seventh, whatever system they use, when this is something you're supposed to do, when you're supposed to get out of junior high school, when you're supposed to graduate high school. And I don't want to hear the small anecdotal arguments of GED. I got a ton of partners with GEDs. Their circumstances, while anecdotal, also played into some of those statistics, which then in a circuitous way brings me back to what was the standard in their homes. So now I'm not talking people who slip through the cracks. I'm talking to you. Think about, during the season of graduations and proms, how much are you putting into your kid? Even better question, now that your kid has done what they needed to do, they moved on from, say, junior high into high school, which is what they should be doing. That's That should be part of your standard. Yeah, we applaud you. Here's your balloons, here's your flowers, here's your cake. Let's go out to eat. You made it from elementary to junior high. You made it from junior high into high school. You made it from high school to college or graduating high school. Here's your flowers. Here's your pictures with the family. We're going out to dinner. And I understand there will be some people who I've had homeboys of mine who they were historic in their families. They were the first in their families to graduate from high school. So I got it when they did the whole shebang. It made sense. But for many of you, that's not it. You got a ton of high school graduates in your family. Everybody got out of elementary and junior high school. So my question is, why are we celebrating this such an elaborate way? What are you deeming as celebratory? What are you considering an accomplishment for your children? What is the standard being set? My youngest daughter will come home with an assignment, and her mother and I have a difference of opinions on this because this is her first child. I'm running number 5. And it's not that I don't appreciate my daughter's work. I appreciate all of my kids' work. But I also know we can't save every single project. This picture is awesome. We can't save every single 100 tests. Now, we could try our best, but it's not feasible. My mother passed away. There were a handful of report cards and projects that I'd done because I even learned young. She was like, I can't save all this, but I could save things that really hold value. So my daughter, it's hard to get her to go, hey, look, we're this is lost in the shuffle. We're going to keep this. But we let her know, hey, we're proud of you. Now, even though we're proud of her, she's not getting balloons, flowers, dinner, and a huge celebration because she did well. We give her the words of affirmation that she needs because she needs to also understand and fully comprehend what you're doing is our standard for you. We want you to work. We want you to bring home great work. We want your teachers to applaud you. Like, we want to set that standard to where in her brain, she understands this is the level of work that I should do, and not to get the accomplishment on the back end. No, 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 no. But simply because this is the work I should do. Somewhere along the lines, we've kind of lost that to where now Black prom trends, to where now we're having $2,000, $3,000 blowout parties for kids who are graduating high school. Not even that they're graduating high school as valedictorians, as top 3 to 15% of the class. No, no, no. We, and not just as a culture, we as a country, we as a people, because I know plenty of folk from the trailer, from the backwoods, first generation English speaking American from all walks of life, who this is their foray. And they're not the first to graduate from high school, but it's treated as if this is a major accomplishment. When the standard should really be, this is something you should be doing anyway. So ask yourself the question, what was the last thing that you really celebrated for your kid? Really think about it. And now ask the question, not just what was the last thing you celebrated, but why did you celebrate it? To what extent did you celebrate it? Was it something that in your household, the standard says this is something that you need to meet? This is a bare minimum. We applaud you. Thank you. We love you. On to the next task. Or did you go full like bridezilla wedding? Again, I say this because I've attended parties recently for kids who graduated high school, and I'm not knocking you celebrating your child, but I'm saying, what is the standard in your home to where your child, who you say that you've raised up correctly, that you've done all you can, that you say you've put forth all this effort and you're so proud of them and you have this pride and this, it's amazing. But they graduate in the bottom of their high school class and just barely made it. Are you celebrating them barely making it? When your kid goes to the next grade with a sub 2.0, when they're trapped in summer school every single year, but you applaud them because they moved on. What's the standard you're setting? When your son graduates or promotes from elementary school, just like every single person in his family has done so, and you throw the backyard barbecue, do you now do this for him every time he graduates? Because standards set an expectation. If I did a backyard barbecue for you when you were in kindergarten, in the first grade, in the second grade, in the third grade, hell, if I'm the kid, I've got to ask if I'm going to get a barbecue for doing the bare minimum, but making it, still going to get celebrated? So what's the real reason ever put forth effort? What's the reason to try harder? I could do the bare minimum and make it. And we're good because my parents, my family, the village will celebrate it. That's the reason we discuss the standard and what is the standard of accomplishments. What are we lifting up? What are we praising? What are we popping balloons and fireworks for? When it should be the bare minimum that should be done. I'll close it with this. If this offended you, good. Lift your standard. We're creating a society of children who become young adults, who then become adults, who understand that the bare minimum being celebrated as if it was the top of the highest, the apex of whatever that lane is. We're raising up a generation of people who get parties, blowouts, candles, flowers, leis, all of this. And this has nothing to do with cultural, but we're doing these things saying, as long as you did it, it didn't need to be great. It didn't need to be amazing. It didn't need to be elite. As long as you got by, because let's be real, there are so many kids who are just getting by. But as long as you just get by, we'll throw a party. As long as you just get by, you're good. So now the standard that has been created is just get by. And your kid is 7 and they learn this, and then they're 17 and they're already adopted this, and now they're 27. And it's hard to figure out why they can't be pushed. It's hard to figure out why the 23-year-old doesn't have drive. It's hard for the 44-year-old who grew up in that kind of environment, who now is in a job that they totally distaste. They loathe their supervision. They can't do the job. They're not fans of it, but scream constantly for promotion, despite never applying themselves because they were never required to. And the reason they weren't required to, because the standard was just get by. The standard was, we'll celebrate you if you squeak through. The standard was, whatever the accomplishment is, we're going to celebrate it as if it was great, even when it wasn't. So again, I ask you as always, what is your standard? When it comes to celebrating, when it comes to accomplishments, when it comes to we're going to put something behind this so this person really understands, we recognize the effort they put through. What are we celebrating? Are we happy with the bare minimum? Or are we creating an environment that says, if you want to be celebrated more, we need a little bit more? Look, man, I love you all. I appreciate you as always, man. I thank y'all for listening. It's part 3 of the standard. Look forward to part 4. Y'all be well. God bless. Peace.